What is up, and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess doing the mostest, Kevon Chi, and we are here with season 2 episode 11 of the Ark. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go ahead and check out my last recap and review where I summarized the entire first and second seasons all the way up to season 2 episode 10. Gave you the backstory, kind of gave you how they got there, what they've been dealing with, and where we are up to now. And I warned y'all in that last video that I'm going to be doing like a recap moving forward, because this is a really nice show and I love sci-fi so much, and a lot of people kind of shy away from it, so I feel it's better for me to just paint a picture to kind of draw you into it versus just giving you like vague information in a regular review. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this is sci-fi, and it's like sci-fi at the core and maybe like drama and action as like subgenres. You can catch it every week on Wednesdays, 10/9 Central on the Sci-Fi channel. And then on Peacock, you can catch it every Wednesday. But the way that it rolls out on Peacock is Peacock will be a week behind with the episode. So you can either wait until the whole season is over and then just binge watch it on Peacock, or you can watch it weekly on Peacock or weekly on Sci-Fi. It was created by Dean Devlin, and it stars Christie Burke as Captain Sharon Garnett, Reece Ritchie as Ian, Richard Fleeshman as Lieutenant Brice, Stacey Reed as Alicia, Ryan Adams as Angus, Pavle Jerinic as Strickland, Shalini Peiris as Dr. Sanji, Tiana Upcheva as Ava, Paul Leonard Murray as William Trust, Jaldran Malkovich as Dr. Murray, and Samantha Glassner as Kelly. So everything is good to go. We are here and we made it to the planet Trappist. And they reach out and they're contacting them, and people contact them back and they're like, hey, we're going to give you these coordinates so that you can set your destination here to home base. You can dock and do everything like that. So Sharon is like, cool, we'll let you know when we're ready. So the reason she has to like wait and coordinate some things is because she's bringing the EFA with them. On Earth, everybody knew the EFA to be like this militant anti-GSA group. And while they were anti-GSA, they weren't the terrorists that GSA was making them out to be. In fact, the GSA was actually the ones planning to commit mass genocide just to save the rich, or just to save the people that they felt were special. So they had already reached like a peace agreement, a treaty, and everything like that. So in space, Sharon was able to broker a community with another spaceship and put all of their past and everything that happened on Earth behind, because we're in space and we literally need each other to survive. So all these things is going on. Everybody is excited. Sharon makes the overhead announcement like, hey y'all, we finna be landing real soon. We made it. Thank y'all for rocking with me. It was cool. Everything is good to go. All systems go. We're going into the engineering room, and Maya, one of the engineers, is down there, and Alicia comes in, and Maya was like, what are you doing here? And Alicia was like, I was called down to fix something with like the engineering coordinates and like the panel. And she was like, but Mr. Trust is supposed to be on shift. And she was like, he said something about his sciatica because he don't like working down there, because every once in a while he gets in his moods and he's like, they don't need me, they don't want me. But he's like just really arrogant and he flaunts it all the time. And he's trying to be a better man ever since he found out his alternate self is very kind and very beloved. But he just can't help it. I mean, he's in his 60s, y'all. He ain't changing that much. Microdoses of changes. So Maya's looking really, really worried, and she's like, we got to get out of here. And Alicia turns around, and this boiler thing just burst open with like all this steam. Turns out it was radiation steam. So Maya pushed Alicia out of the way, but they both ended up getting hit, but Maya took the brunt of the radiation. So they're in medbay, getting treated, everything like that. And Ava's kind of confused and Sharon's kind of confused, but Sharon's like, Ava, just go check on it or whatever, because like we've been rocking solid for days now. Like this doesn't make any sense. Most of all of our parts on here has been fixed to near new condition or like new condition. So Ava goes down there and she's looking at everything, and Mr. Trust comes out and he's going through the system, and he was like, what happened? And Ava tells him what happened, and he was like, but Alicia can do this in her sleep. Like, I shouldn't have even had to come down here. So he's going through everything and they're doing the calculations, and he sees that there was a code input in the system that was done on purpose. So they take this back to Sharon, and they're like, the only conclusion that we can come to is that this was done purposeful in a murder attempt, because that's all you can do to cause this to happen. It's a radiation leak, a contaminant, and if it's inhaled or blasted on you too much, you could die from respiratory and radiation failure. So they like, who's trying to kill Maya and who's trying to kill Alicia? Like, what's up? Like, what's going on? So at this time, they're not really thinking about Trust at the moment. Like, nobody's really clocking that he was supposed to be down there on shift. Not out loud anyway. Like, it's not like a player in the room at this juncture. So Strickland is in his room working with his sword. You know, he's doing his meditations and he doing his sword movements and everything, when he gets a call on his comms about going to the engineering room to swap out oh my god, I'm not an engineer. Let's say when you have to jump a car battery and you have to put the black and the red in on specific pieces. So they want him to swap them so that it can create a malfunction. And he was like, who is this? And they were like, Mr. Strickland, you're going to do whatever we say, or we're going to chop off your daughter's finger. And he's like, there's no way you have my daughter. Like, what are you talking about? And then they put the daughter on the phone, and now he's like sucked into just terror, happiness, relief, and disgust. And so he's like, okay, what do you want me to do? They were like, you're going to go do what we said. And we have a series of things that you're going to do throughout this entire time. And you will stop when I say that you're going to stop, or your daughter is going to die. And if you alert anybody of what's going on, we're absolutely going to kill her, and we will find a way to kill you. So the entire episode is mostly focused on Strickland and just stress. And he's just the sweetest, kindest, most unbiased person on the ship. Like, I love this character so much. He is my favorite. He's stern, he's head of security, but he is a teddy bear, and he's just a beautiful soul. He's a beautiful soul. I wonder if the actor is like that in real life. He's just so gentle. He's just very gentle. Anyway, he don't deserve it, is what I'm trying to say. So he's going down there and he's getting ready to swap it out, and then he decides not to. And that's when he gets another call over the comms that was like, you're going to do it. We can see that you didn't do it. So he's looking around trying to figure out, like, how do they know? So he goes and he switches it. And then we move back to like the starboard, I guess is what we can call it. I forget the name, but the deck where the captain and everybody sits to navigate the ship. And Ava's like, that's strange. Like, something else is going wrong. The dotes on the outside of the spaceship malfunction. So Garnett's like, Sharon is Garnett. She was like, okay, one is a coincidence. Back to back, something in the water is not clean. Like, what is going on? So Strickland is kind of panicking a little bit, and he goes and finds a book, and he's getting ready to write a note, and he's saying, you know, I'm being blackmailed, please help. And a message comes over his comms, like in a text message that was like, give it to her and your daughter dies. So he's looking around at everybody like, how are you seeing me? Who's watching me? Like, what the hell is going on? And he spots a camera in the corner. So he tears the page out of the book, and he kind of like holds it in his hand. He puts the paper in his pocket. So they go and they have a meeting, and they're trying to figure out like everything that's going on, and they're in the meeting and they're talking and stuff like that. Strickland is talking, but he's tapping his fingers on the table. And ain't nobody picking up on this, right? Like, they're just talking. So Garnett was like, okay, well, let's go down there and see if Maya is awake, and we can ask her some questions about whatever is going on. another text comes through, and it tells him to tell them to divert from Maya. So Strickland says that he thought he saw Ian down there looking suspicious, and she was like, okay, well, I trust you, you know, this ain't the first time somebody like betrayed us or whatever on the ship, so, you know, follow your hunch and report back to me with what you find. Meanwhile, Ian saw Strickland in that engineering room, but he couldn't immediately pinpoint like why he was down there or what he was doing. And he went to Garnett about it, but she like blew him off. So he went to Brice, and Brice was just like, why would he do that? And Ian was just like, look, I like Strickland, you like Strickland. Best case scenario, it's nothing. Worst case scenario, we need to figure out what the hell is going on. So let's at least figure out like why these things are malfunctioning the way that they are, so we can try to clear his name, because nothing is making sense right now. During this time, they wanted Strickland to rig the airlock so that it would register 2 bodies in there in error. They wanted him to cut the comms for William Trust's helmet. And what else did they want? I'm getting ahead. So first, they wanted him to disable the airlock so that it will read an error, and they told him that he needs to go on a spacewalk. So they go back into the room, and Garnett's like, okay, what's up? Because during this time, things were just not adding up, like, at all. So Strickland is in there again, tapping on this damn table. This time, they notice, but they're not really sure, like, what to do with it. They're, like, kind of looking at him like, are you good, bro? Like, what's up? Like, what is going on? So Garnett gives out orders, and, you know, she's just asking Trust, Ava, and them whatever. But first things first, they got to get the dopes fixed. So Trust is like, cool, I'll go out on the, I'll go outside and fix it because I'm the only person that knows how to fix it. And he was like, I just want Garnett to come with me. And this is where that other blackmail-y favor came in, where he said he wanted Strickland to go on the spacewalk. So Strickland hurries up and jumps in and was like, no, like, I'll do it. Like, the captain of the ship doesn't need to be off the ship. And they're like, I've been out, like, bro, like, what is wrong with you? And he is tapping like crazy. At this point, I'm just like, are we dumb? Like, do we not see duress? Do we not see duress? Because this is abnormal. Like, this is very abnormal for him. Why would the head of security leave the ship? That makes no sense. But they agreed to it anyway. At this point, Strickland is desperate, and this is what I really love, and this is why I say, like, he's one of my favorite characters. Since the beginning of episode 1, season 1, he has an integrity about himself, and he's impervious to being blackmailed. He's impenetrable to corruption. And in this episode, you're wondering, like, why is he doing it? Why is he doing it? Why is he doing it? Like, oh my God, like, somebody please figure this out and free him. But turns out he has to free himself, okay? He had to pull a Fantasia and free himself. He pulls up in Garnett's room, and he crosses his arms, and he's like, I'm pursuing this case against Ian. So no, you do not need to go check on Maya or any of her belongings, which are still in med bay. And Garnett's like, okay, give me the report. He looks at his hand and he looks back up. You need to make sure that you go after Ian, you know, with the full force of the law, whatever. And she's finally paying attention to the Morse code that he's been tapping this entire time. So she's like, got it. Give me a report on Ian. Everything will be good to go. So he leaves with some sense of release, because goddamn, how long was it gonna take? And of course, Garnett is very resourceful. She's very quick on her feet. From the moment season 1, episode 1, we was like 15 minutes in, and she said, I'm gonna lead y'all on the ship, and people was getting all up in arms. She has not failed them and has not let them down, and her leadership has simply grown more and more and more. I really love that this is a character that's not painted out to be a bitch or has to be one of the boys to be able to lead or get respect from the people that's around her. So her character is just very integral with like women empowerment, and even little girls seeing like, you know, this captain in space leading, and she doesn't have to sacrifice femininity, and she doesn't have to sacrifice her humanity to get people to trust her. And it's a beautiful, beautiful trait, and I hope they continue to go down this route. Does she have to make tough choices, and does she have to be stern and firm? Yes, but she's never unfair, and she's never mean, and she's never evil, and that's the best part about it. So she pulls all of them into the room, and Ian and Brice were like, yo, we got something to tell you. She was like, hey, not now, everybody get into the briefing room right now. So they like, okay, like, you know, what's she mad about? So everybody's in there, and she shuts the blind, so it's like a full whiteout, and she pulls out a tape recorder. So in a couple of episodes, they found this box that says Remember Earth, and when they opened it, it was like so many different like gadgets and doodads and knickknacks or whatever from Earth, and this was one of the things that was in there. And it also like boosted their morale, so they were able to have something that wasn't like a ship or just mechanic or diagnostic. They had teddy bears and yo-yos and baseballs and baseball gloves, a guitar, stuff to tie them and ground them so that they don't lose their minds inside the ship. So Brice is like, what's up? She like, not now. And she hits play, and it's a pre-recorded briefing, and she pulls all of them into this closet after making them take their wrist communicators off. So they go in there, and she's like, Strickland, I am so sorry. Like, I wish I would have caught your SOS earlier. And Brice was like, oh shit, like that's what the tapping was for, Morse code. So, but everybody else is looking around like, what is going on? And that's when he finally comes clean that he's being blackmailed, and he's been a part of sabotaging the ship. Well, when he gave her his SOS in the room and told her not to go to Maya, Garnett went to Maya's communicator and saw that she was also being blackmailed too. So they already found out that she was the reason that the boiler for the radiation exhaust blew up. So they're all trying to figure out like, okay, why would anybody want to hurt Maya or Alicia? And that's when Ava jumps in and says Trust was supposed to be the one to be down there on shift, and Trust is the only one on the ship capable of fixing the dotes on the outside. So they figure out very quickly that whoever's blackmailing them wants William Trust dead. Now, there's a lot of people that want William Trust dead because he did this experiment. So in the alternate dimension, he had an experiment, but he only did it on himself, and he used himself as a test subject. It didn't work, and he ended up with an incurable disease. In this universe, he did it on an entire town. It didn't work, and all of them ended up with this incurable disease. But in season 1 or 2, I believe, they ended up figuring out, no, season 2, they ended up figuring out the 3 components to be able to cure it. So Brice is cured, as well as Sarah's mom, because Miss Maddox also had the same thing. So yeah, a lot of people want him dead. Now, why does this particular person or persons want him dead? I have no idea. And so Strickland tells him, you know, they want him out to fix it. They want me to cut his comms, and they want me to specifically be out there on the spacewalk. So everybody's like, what are we gonna do? And Garnett's like, I have an idea, but we need to move fast, and Trust cannot know because we just cannot risk him like messing stuff up. So they leave. Strickland goes about his business. He does everything else, cuts the comms, all this other stuff. He gets another message, and they're like, hey, one last thing. When you outside, cut his rope and yours. And Strickland's like, hold on, because that's not part of the deal. He was like, it's your life or your daughter's life, and we can't have no loose ends. So we're moving, we're going. He, you know, Trust is putting his stuff on, he's putting his stuff on, everything like that. They get ready, they go outside, the airlock, they're out there. Trust is fixing it. He goes to say something, and Strickland tells him, like, I think something is wrong with your comms. Are you good with hand signals? So Trust is like, boom, good to go. So once he fixed the dope, Strickland goes and burns off his cord, and Trust is like trying to fight him or whatever, and he pushes him into the middle of space, y'all. I know it's a TV show, but just to be out there in blackness and your feet aren't touching anything, your hands aren't touching anything, you can't grasp anything, and you only have so much oxygen inside of this mask. I was stressed. I'm stressed now just thinking about it. Then Strickland goes ahead and unclips his, and they're floating across in space. So then we see an entity on a computer. We don't see the face, we just see the hand. We just see their hand and we see the computer screen, and they see them floating in space. So then now this person that's been talking to Strickland then reports to somebody else. So now we know, like, there's somebody else is leading this, and he's like, you know, Strickland and Trust are floating into space, and so they're gonna be dead if not from just continuing to float but losing oxygen, whichever one comes first. They can get hit by a comet, a meteor, burned by a star. It is what it is. And so then they disengage. During this time, Ava was tracking their systems on their ship, and she noticed when they actually pulled out of their systems. So that whoever that person was hacked their comms, and that's how they were able to see. So when he didn't switch the stuff, they couldn't see him because the cameras were only in the main deck. There were no cameras in the engineering room, but they were tracking the system and the functionality of the ship all together. So anytime they didn't do something, they knew because they were plugged in. So once they disconnected, Ava had the ship and the systems do like a, kind of like when you get sick and then your body recognizes like the virus, and so it develops antibodies for that thing, so then when it comes again, you can effectively fight it off. That's basically like what she did, but with diagnostic code and computer stuff like that. And out in space, Trust is like flailing, doing all this other stuff. Strickland's trying to go to him. He's trying to fight him back, and Strickland's like, turn around, look. And when their ship moved, EFA's shuttle was coming down to pick them up. And so Trust is like, he looked like he's about to have a heart attack and pass out inside of this spacesuit. So they finally go get Alicia because she's one of the council members, and they bring her in on it, and they just tell her basically everything that I just told y'all. Somebody is out trying to target Trust, and they were hacking the systems to blackmail other people on the ship. And she was like, oh, well, how did y'all trick them? Now, this is also one of them shows, because it's so techie, they go into a lot of explanation, like CSI Miami, or like SVU, like cop shows, especially when they're doing like forensics and autopsies. You really get into like the education piece. So Ava used the feed from the day before to basically loop on one of the cameras that she knew that whoever was watching them could see. Then the camera that was right there where the dope was, where Strickland pushed William Trust specifically, that was a live feed, so that whoever was hacking them and watching them could see that he actually did follow through with releasing them both into the middle of space. Garnett called over to EFA. Well, actually, Ian and Brice found in that Remember America box some electronic comms and stuff that they could use that wasn't connected to the ship, and they were able to get, what do you call it? They did kind of like an airlift with this electronic message to EFA, so it like floated through space, and then somebody picked it up outside to get the message so they can know like what to do. And so then EFA was ordered to go to Ark One's blind spot where the other people couldn't see them. And so all of these things was like working at the same time in real time. So to the blackmailer, they could just see them being in space, and when they looked at everything else, it looked like nothing was up. But meanwhile, EFA was just hidden behind them. So Alicia goes and Garnett charges her with trying to figure out like where the signal came from, where basically find the IP address of what was going on. So Strickland and Trust are safe. They're on the EFA ship, and Strickland tells her like, look, I know security is my job, but my baby is alive. I heard her voice. She answered with something that only she and I would know, like not even my husband would know, and we need to figure out like how to get her. And Garnett's like, absolutely, you know, we can prioritize mission and your needs, and we have enough people over here to also figure it out in your absence. Alicia comes back and she tells Garnett, like, your suspicions were right. The signal did come from Trappist. It came from Trappist. So they're all just looking out this giant glass window at Trappist, which looks like a North Star. Like, it's shining bright and it's supposed to be this beacon of hope. But somebody down there wants to kill William Trust. And so now it's like, yes, you want to kill Trust, but also, what are we walking into? 4 ships should have come here ahead of us. But the moment we get here, we're met with hacking, blackmailing, and murder. So Garnett is just staring out, and she's just like, we need to figure out what's going on before we put anybody on this ship in danger. We have been through way too much and survived way too much to go in here blind. So there's that. The Ark, season 2, episode 11. Again, it was very short, succinct, and to the point because the plot line was very strict. See what I did there? To Strickland. And it was blackmailing. We weren't going back and forth. Multiple people weren't necessarily involved in that way. It was very like a singular storyline, and then here's what happened. Very Magic School Bus of them in the education piece. But now we're getting away from this ship and that ship and in space and this, and all this other stuff to Garnett and Avega, who's the captain on the EFA ship. Because she was going to go down there first to talk like peace treaties and everything like that for Trappist to even be able to accept EFA without all the baggage that happened on Earth. But now, everything that the EFA said about the GSA and the people who built the Arks and this, that, and the third is in her face of them being dangerous. And at this point, if one is capable of doing that, you have to assume that all are capable of doing that, especially with what they've gone through and experienced on their journey to get to another planet in the first place. So I imagine in next episode, which I think there's only 12 episodes this season, I'm sad, that it's gonna be a lot of like recon and a lot of counterintelligence. I don't know if they're gonna land down there. I don't know. I hope not. I hope that they're able to kind of backdoor it in a way where Alicia, Ava, and William Trust can do their electronic signaling, this, that, and the third down to Trappist and like figure out like what the hell is going on. But I definitely foresee, while I would not like them to go down there, I foresee by the end them making a decision to go like a few to go down there. Maybe Garnett, Ian, and Strickland for sure, and leave Brice on the ship as the second and as the lieutenant, Ava as head of engineering, and Alicia, who's basically like a miniature William Trust, and also keep William Trust up there too because somebody wants to kill him. If they don't go that route for the finale, I would say the alternate that I think that will happen is the person who gave them the coordinates, when they realize that they're not going to use those coordinates to come down, I think they're going to come up and try to attack the ship. And so then the ship is going to be back in that frenzy and back in that war zone. But this time though, I would actually love this as an ending, because this time the people on this ship, they're not regular little civilians who used to just go to the club back on Earth, who was just teachers and this, that, and the third. Yes, they have their vocations, but they know how to fight. They know how to like get through things. They know how to survive things because they've had to fight for their life in multiple areas. So Garnett has actually built a community, and EFA, she wanted them to get rid of their weapons or to like dismount their weapons on the outside of their ship. They didn't really show that they did that, but I'm assuming that they did because that was part of their deal. But baby, put put them weapons back on, because the people in space are tripping. And I said this in the last review and recap. We're in space. Why are we beefing? Why are we beefing? We say all this other stuff, like, to get a better world and let's go and do a new life, but you bring in old shit to the new planet. It's like people just take an opportunity to start over and then just be the dictator that they left. Whatever regime that they didn't like, they're like, oh, let's all rally together and we don't have to listen to them anymore. And then the loudest one in that bunch be like, actually, I'm gonna do what they did and I'm gonna do the same thing. And so you're carrying this over to another planet. Ain't this the same shit that blew up the last planet? Thought so. So we're bringing it to more planets. Make it make sense. But you know, humans, dumb. Forever in a cycle of our own repetitive BS and our own failures and our own mistakes. Bright lights of it all. Honestly, William Truss is a genius and he's so funny. He's another favorite character of mine. But you have William Truss and you have Alicia. Alicia is so smart. She's so smart. And I think she's definitely a bright spot to what they could become. Even Sarah, as a post-human, as the history that she has with the people on that ship, she's trying to turn her life around, do good, use her augmentations for good. I think the type of people, I think the people that are on the ship were meant to be on that ship. The clones, the first generation clones, the second generation clones, you have two post-humans, you have this genius, you have horticulturalists, you have doctors, you have engineers. I think they're a very like mighty force, and Garnett is such an amazing strategist and an amazing like leader. And not like, oh, she leads great, but like she collaborates so well and allows everybody to, like, if you come to her and you're like, I got this and I can do this and I have this idea, she's like, boom, run it, bring it back to me. She's not afraid to try something new or trust her people. And once you get the trust of the people, they will do any and everything for her. So Trappist can come with the bullshit, but either scenario, she ready. That's gonna wrap up today's episode. Thank you for rocking with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment in the comment box below. Follow me on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and on Instagram at So There's That Podcast. And if you want to know my thoughts on all the other things that I'll be talking about, look me up on Twitter at Kivanchi. Anything else? Any other announcements? I don't think I have any announcements. I'm ready to go to sleep. Okay. Good night.